going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Locks and Sleepers video from locksdfs.com. I'm your host, Christian Hardy, as you can see, @byhardy on Twitter, and I'm going to be breaking down this 9-game NBA slate. Before we do that, I'm going to go into the giveaway for last week. Young-ish, I believe Youngish334, if I remember the exact username. You'll know who you are. You could DM me on Twitter or DM Locks. You win the free pass giveaway from last week. I saw you commenting on pretty much every video, including MLB. So really appreciate that. Appreciate anyone who supports, comments, likes, shares, etc. It really helps our channel out, and we just want to give back to you guys for doing that. So if you guys do that, we'll be more than happy to give back to you guys, and we appreciate you guys to do that. So make sure you comment, like, subscribe if you do like the video. And Young-ish, remember to DM me, and I'll get you your free pass. I'm sure you'll see this one, buddy. With that said, let's jump into this slate. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, of course. And also remember that we have our MLB passes in the store. Me and Addy working on MLB. Lots of fun so far. It's been a pretty good season so far for us. It's only going to get better as we get more of a sample size and that sort of thing. Get a feel for what hitters are doing well this year, what pitchers are emerging, etc. So love breaking down that sport. It's such a fun analytical sport for us to go through. So I hope you guys join us for this season or for a month and kind of see what we're about. And I think you'll like what you see. So go ahead and try us out there. And with all that said, let's get into this really, really crazy 9-game NBA slate. I mean, I'm making this video 1 p.m. We have a ton of news, a ton of value that has opened up. I wanted to start it off by just going through some of the news that has broken so far. So Cody Zeller is still out. That one's not as big. Hernan Gomez should start in his place. Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid are both going to be out. James Ennis and we saw Jonah Bolden start, and he will start again in this game. And James Ennis will start in place of Jimmy Butler. Luka Doncic is out, so Courtney Lee will start. But we saw Trey Burke run for 30 minutes in that last game, so we're going to mention him again later in the video. And then we see Darren Collison and Wes Matthews both out, which is going to open up starting spots for Corey Joseph and Tyreek Evans. We're also Blake Griffin is also out, so we'll keep going here. Thon Maker started in his place last game, and excuse me, that's slack. And Thon Maker started in his place last game and should get the start here again, while Luke Kennard and Langston Galloway also questionable. So something to watch as we get closer to lock. And then lastly, we have TJ Warren is still out. We have Josh Jackson and Rashad Holmes back, so they should probably play a good. Each should play a good bit of minutes. So not the top values on the slate, but certainly some decent value to be had there. All right, let's go ahead and start with the Chicago, the big chalk out of Chicago, Walt Lemon Jr., who has emerged, just came out, I believe, out of the G League for them. Regardless, just signed, and he's going to start for the Bulls in this game. I'm assuming they're going to start him at the 1 and do something like Selden, Shaq Harrison, Sampson at the 4, and Lopez. Obviously, we don't have a confirmed starting lineup yet, but we do know that Lemon will start for 3K. He was really impressive in his last game. He should be chalk on both sides, at the minimum on both sides, after playing 31 minutes in that game. So go ahead and get him in your lineups if you are playing today. And he should be very, very chalky. Next we go to Trey Burke, who is averaging a full fantasy point per minute with Luka Doncic, Wes Matthews. I believe it should be this tab. Barea, Wes Matthews, Doncic, and DSJ off the floor. We see Trey Burke coming here at about fantasy point per minute on DK. So we saw him get 30 minutes last game without Luka, and 8 assists also was a nice little boost. Shooting threes as well. I mean, pretty much everything you could want out of Trey Burke here at 4K. I assume he'll get his minutes again. That's been pretty regular, and he's looked good in his minutes as well. So I assume they wanted to keep getting him at least 25 minutes a game with all those guys out the floor. I don't see why he won't be there. So another really good value. I'm actually not sure what his price is on. Yeah, so Trey Burke at the minimum on FanDuel, and there is another FanDuel point guard we're going to talk about that will be chalky, and we will get to him shortly. But I am curious now. Okay, so you've got Lemon as shooting guard, so that there's already 3 plays here that really makes sense on FanDuel. But so there's Trey Burke. We also have another value who we mentioned through the beginning of the video when we were talking about the injuries, and that's Tyreek Evans, who is at 3.6K. This news just came out. I did not know that he was considered questionable, but with that said, certainly something to watch. When Collison and Matthews were ruled out, they actually said that Evans would start. Now, I guess that must be in question. But that said, we'll talk about him as if he's going to start in this game and be fine. He's averaging over a fantasy point per minute in his time on the floor with Collison, Oladipo, and Matthews off. And he played 29 minutes in each of the last 2 games that we saw Collison sit, which are these 2 right here. 16, 17 shots in each of those games. Solid usage rate. Getting some peripherals as well when he's in those games. And also, you're also going to have Corey Joseph, who might come into play if Tyreek is out. I don't think he's going to be too much in play because of all the other value on this slate. But he's going to start a point guard. Not a very solid fantasy point per minute producer just because he doesn't really shoot the ball. Even in situations where he will get more run, he's not going to shoot the ball. So not a guy I'm really too interested in. But he would kind of be more interesting if we see Tyreek ruled out, in which case I'll have to kind of reassess things for the Pacers. But right now, Tyreek would be my favorite value there. And then lastly, we have 2 bigs actually, and again we mentioned them in the injuries, but we got Thon Maker here. Not a very solid fantasy point per minute producer. I think he's around like 0.75 or something like that. But he should have played again like 28, 30 minutes here without Blake Griffin. We'll draw the start. Doesn't get a terribly good matchup, a pretty slow game here. But at 3.8, you're looking at value here, and of course, you have guys like Reek who are going to give you a lot more upside, and they're going to be better plays at 3.6. But that said, Thon is still a very, very solid play at 3.8 here. And the last guy I wanted to mention with Joel Embiid ruled out, excuse me, is Jonah Bolden. They raised his price after his last game where he got 31 minutes. So clearly, this one I can actually confirm they did want to bring him out of the G League, and that's why they had him start in the last game. They brought him up about a week ago or so, or maybe 2 weeks ago. And finally he got the start. Joel Embiid is out again. We saw him, with Boban behind, we just didn't know how they were really going to play Bolden, but we see now that Philly really securing their spot. They have really not a whole lot to play for right now. We saw Jimmy Butler is going to sit today as well. So Bolden should continue to get run in these games where that just don't really matter for them. At 4.5, we see him play 30 minutes. He is a very, very good play against a Dallas team that should run in pace with Philadelphia. So really like this play in Jonah Bolden. Not sure where the ownership will be on him if people are trusting this 31 minutes or not, but I certainly think he will be over 25 or so again as the season winds down and they give minutes to their younger guys. That will pretty much do it for the value. I wanted to talk, just because I talked about all value guys, I figured I should talk about on the other end some studs, because that's kind of where this slate's going to go. If you can see all this value popping up, people are going to they're probably going to skip the mid-range and look straight to the top-end guys. And on FanDuel, my number 1 is going to be Damian Lillard here at 10.5. I thought this price was a little bit low for Lillard, who so in the few games that McCollum and Nurkic have been out, his usage hasn't gone crazy. In those 3 games, I wanted to pull up what he did in the 3 games. 1.31 fantasy point per minute. I think his usage was around 33%. So nothing crazy on that. However, Minnesota, and if we just look at it with those rates, Minnesota is the worst 3-point shooting defense in the league, and they're also a bottom 5 defense since the trade deadline. They're not going to really put up much fight here, although the total is very high and rising. It's risen 3 points, and the line is still 3.5. So looking like they think this game is going to stay close, which would not shock me with no CJM and no Cantor. So Lillard also, one thing I wanted to mention is that those rates are 32%, but in that first game, he really was barely trying. In those 2 games since, it was a blowout against the Bulls, I believe. In those 2 games since, he's shot a lot more, been a lot more involved in the offense. I mean, not that he's not involved in the offense, but has taken more of like a prerogative, is like, oh, we've got to win this game, so let me shoot the ball a little bit more. That's kind of how we've seen Lillard play, and at this price on FanDuel, under all of these other studs here, he's pretty much a lock for me at point guard. I don't really see how you get away from him. And here as well, I'm probably going to be playing Lillard at 10K. So that's one stud I'm looking at. And the other one is going to be Devin Booker, who you just saw his price on FanDuel at 11.5. It's not a terrible price, and one that I will think about paying. I'm not sure how my build will go over there. But I've definitely passed up on Booker too many times down the stretch of the season. I've doubted the whole, like, oh, it looks like they're just going to let him shoot 30 times a game. Well, they are going to just let him shoot 30 times a game. Regardless of the game, Phoenix tends to kind of keep things close here, and they have kind of for a lot of the year, but especially down the stretch here, they're just not getting blown out by teams. Tonight they get a team who is definitely not going to blow them out in Cleveland, and not to mention that Phoenix is at home as well. So I'm not exactly sure what the line on this game is. I will pull it up right now, actually, while I'm on this video, which is a rarity. We are looking for the Suns. 113.5 total, one of the highest on the slate. I meant to mention that about Portland too. They're at 114.75, which is one of the highest on the slate, the second highest on the slate, behind only the Jazz. So the Suns going to be in a close game, a pretty high scoring game at 225, not one of the lower ones on the night. And Booker is going to continue to play, 39, apparently maybe 40 minutes. I don't know how you go over Booker on DraftKings. I mean, on FanDuel, again, at his price, I guess you could pass him up. But I mean, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it on DK. I think both sites are going to end up on a stars and scrub build, and those two studs, Booker and Lillard, are my favorite. And then after that, you're probably going to have like Cat, who is also a very, very good play. But I will leave the rest of my content for the members. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time on the next Locks and Sleepers video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, as I said at the beginning of the video, for a chance to win a free pass. Other than that, thank you so much for listening, for watching, for your comments, and you can follow me on Twitter at ByHardy. And with all that said, we'll see you guys next time.